I get my my sleeves rolled up quite often there. Actually, I find myself saying I can't get to enough meetings and conversations I need to have because I'm too involved in some of the technical aspects.
So what do you do with that when it feels like, wow, I can't get to those CEO responsibilities?
Yeah.
Is that good? Is it bad?
Mm-hmm.
How do you find this? I'm not a proponent of finding balance in life. I'm sure maybe you are, but I just don't think it's a real relevant term if you're trying to do significant things in life.
Yeah.
I think you have to find a way for it all to mold together.
Yeah.
But maybe that's a similar challenge as CEO. Like, how do you stay plugged in on this engineering front?
Yeah.
You want to make sure that no one thinks you're not willing to do the tough stuff you're asking them to do.
Yeah.
But there are CEO responsibilities.
For sure.
So how do you accomplish this all for a new CEO coming up,
Yeah.
for the Micah of 9
Yeah.
years ago? What do you tell him?
You know, it's quite the existential question about where you put your priorities. But for me, you know, at first it was mission over everything, mission over people, mission over health, accomplish the mission, you know, and I can rally myself and drive really hard. But I think, you know, when you're a company that's choosing to be handmade, you don't have to do that, right? I can go and source this in Taiwan and bring it over and make it look just as pretty. But I think when you choose that, there is a people element to it, and respecting that path and the journey of really building community with these people is half of that process. So there is this tie of where, like, yeah, I could live in my office 24/7 and still not have enough time. But then I am that C-suite person that is talked about from the staff on the floor that, oh, he just doesn't understand my journey. He doesn't understand what we go through. So I do try to balance. I want to work beside them. And sometimes that is sacrificing progress. So, you know, for the young person coming up, I think, you know, one of my mentors, a guy named Steve Hancock, was a life P&Ger. He said, you can really only measure two things, efficiency and effectiveness. And so when we are really doing anything on the floor, I'm always asking myself, is this an effective use of my time? Is this an efficient use of my time? And so I come into things where I can see downflow, like downstream, like this is a critical thing for us. The thing for, you know, I guess anybody coming up into the business world is the restraint to sometimes you have to delegate. And sometimes you have to watch people fail so they can learn, which might hurt you in the short term, but benefit you in the long term. You stretch yourself, you know, a mile wide, you will become an inch deep, you know. And I think that's the balance that I have to find is hiring right, investing into people, and then giving them the opportunity to succeed. Don't micromanage and helicopter it.
Kind of like being a parent.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so similar.
Yeah,
right?
it very much is.
So what matters to Micah coming into 2024? What matters?
Well, it's going to be kind of similar to what you said. For me, I am a very now balanced focused person. I think I came into Rookwood. I was getting down to my first 6 years there. I was at the factory around 5:30 every morning. I was gone at 7. Saw my kids very rarely, and it starts to make you question, like, why am I on this rock? And you know, do I want to be a great parent? Do I want to be known for something? Do I want to scratch the itch of feeling successful? Do I want to restore this business that long after I'm buried, you know, my efforts will no longer be recognized? So I am that internal, introspective type of person that really does overanalyze every moment of the day. And I think for me this year, it's about balance. And you know, one of my business partners and people that have helped me in the past help me think of small sayings that could help organize my my efforts. And sometimes it's as simple as this. This year I want to make bigger. I want to continue to win where I'm winning. There's this propensity to reinvent the wheel so many times when you don't need to. Sometimes if you sold, you know, 100 French fries last year, maybe your goal is to sell 110. I think there's this instant satisfaction culture sometimes of when you're watching social media and you're seeing these monsters that really got lucky. Right time, right place, right idea, grew to success overnight. I would say 99% of the time, the way businesses and empires are built is sweat equity. And that's by making good decisions today, good decisions tomorrow, not coming up with the world's best ceramic idea. Mm-hmm. And that used to kind of be where I was like, man, I got creativity, I got tenacity, I will this thing into success. And that was an exhausting path for me. I think it affected my relationships. I was stressed all the time. I wasn't happy. So this year, I think, I want aggressive growth. Don't get me wrong. But I also want to be honest with myself about acknowledging the wins. I'm the type of, I think, manager sometimes that expects a lot from people. But if I'm not present, I'm not going to praise them when they're getting deflated. I'm not going to recognize when they did something really great. Maybe it's not where we want to be, but they need to be kind of brought along in that path of relationship. So this year for me is really about balance. It's about winning and growing the business. We're going to try to grow the business by about 30% this year. But I want to do it in the right way, in a way that I'm proud of, in a way that respects my own body, respects my family, respects my friends, and respects my coworkers. And I know that seems like a very fluffy, ethereal thing, but really what it is it's an exercise in restraint. So this year it's going to be an exercise in mental restraint. What should we really be focusing on, and what is a little bit too much?
That's tough to find. I don't.
Yeah.
Do you think? Do you think we ever find it?
I do. I think it's like the same discipline of getting on a treadmill. So in college, I read this book called Choosing to Cheat, and it was a very profound book that made me look introspectively to myself. I am a bit of an old soul in that sense, but the book's premise was you're going to cheat somebody in your life. So before you get into it, you need to choose who you're going to cheat. You're going to cheat your family. You're going to cheat yourself. You're going to cheat your business. You can't give 100% to all the things you're invested in. So why don't you go into it with the mentality of, you know what, I'm going to get to work today at 8 and I'm going to leave at 4 because I'm going to choose to cheat that last hour to invest into my family. So I think for me, it's very much being eyes wide open and kind of smashing the naive sentiments that I can do it all. I've tried to do that for the last 9 years. And as we were talking before we got on the air here, I think that's where my gray hair comes from.
It's earned.
Yeah, it's
earned.
What you said. Yeah, absolutely.